Hello and welcome to Talk of the Town for another week to the four-time All-Australian and Port Adelaide Premiership champion, Warren Tredrea. Hello.
Seb Costello, good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Sammy McClure is the chief football reporter for the Nine Network. Hello to you.
Hello, Sebastian. Hello, Warren. It's good to see that Bianca's gone shopping for you. Finally, you're starting to look somewhat complete in the upper half. That is a lovely knit that you're wearing.
Thank you very much. All I will say is that as a compliment, I will embrace that, especially from someone living in a very dull background, very dull house in a very dull Melbourne at the moment. In Adelaide, the sun is out and life is pretty good.
Oh, he started nice and firing. This.
Yep.
Now, Sammy, let's start with you on this. Joe Daniher will play, according to John Worsfold, against the Hawks at the Adelaide Oval this weekend. We haven't seen him for more than 11 games in 3 years. In fact, he hasn't played, I think, since round 9 last year. John Worsfold says he's ready to go. Is there any way he can be ready to go with that sort of start?
467 days, Seb. I got the calendar out and went back through it. That's how long it's been since we've seen Joe Daniher at AFL level. It's an exciting story for Essendon fans. I think it's an exciting story for everyone. There's no one that wouldn't want to see him play. I mean, this guy at his best is a Coleman medal winner. He's a best and fairest. He's an All-Australian. He's a star. I just don't see, and Tredders, you'll be the one of the three of us that can talk to this with the most insight. How can he be ready? I know that the scratch matches aren't what they would usually be, and that would be a couple of games in the twos. But just with the circumstances of him being out of contract, and given that he has had problems with coming back from injury before at this club, it just seems amazing to me that they're rushing him back in without any scratch matches against other opponents.
On the surface, it reeks of desperation. Let's be honest, boys. It does. He hasn't played. He hasn't played for, 4,521 days. It's unbelievable. Like, he hasn't played forever, and that's what I feel bad for him. We know what happened in the off-season last year when he wanted to get greater opportunity and a new lease on life up in Sydney. It didn't happen. But what I would say here is I'm not sure they can, in defence of the Bombers, I'm not sure what sort of preparation he can do. What I can tell you now is the days of pre-season of just running and picking up the balls in January and then doing skills and doing some competitive stuff are long gone. Clubs now, albeit with COVID restrictions down to 9 in competitive drills, do competitive drills all year round. There is a slight restriction, as I said, can only use 9 at a time at training at the moment. But I would dare say, whether there's match simulation or not, he would have done a lot of match simulation type training. He's probably got to a stage where, you know what, he's probably saying to the club, stuff it, let's have a go. And the Bombers are going, well, we're depleted, let's have a go. And we know he can play. I just hope from a football purist point of view that he actually stands up, and I hope he goes well, because whatever happens, whether he's at Essendon next year or wants to go into greener pastures, I think the game is so much better with the Joe Daniher who is fit and firing because, geez, he's probably the most unstoppable forward in the game at his best.
So, Seb, just to go back on that, and I agree that, you know, it does on the surface reek of desperation. So the last time that they brought him back from injury, last year against North Melbourne, it was a week before Anzac Day, he played okay. He was a very late in for Zach Clark, and then on a 5-day break played an Anzac Day, basically best on ground, albeit they just lost that game, and then played 2 more games, and that was it. We haven't seen him since. So on the surface of that, it looked like they rushed him back last time, and I think they've all but admitted that they perhaps mismanaged it at the time. I just hope that they don't mismanage him this time, because this is a guy's career on the line, whether it's at Essendon or whether it's someone else. But I agree, Seb, Tredders, it's hard to criticise them because of his contract, whether he's playing next year or whether he wants to play with someone else. People need to see if he can play.
Yeah,
I agree, and it works out. And also, too, quickly, Seb, I think it works out too whether there's value or not. Because let's face it, if he comes and soars, everyone goes, "Whoa!" The Bombers are going, "Hey, how those first 2-round picks go?" If he goes and gets injured or doesn't perform, then all of a sudden the value plummets. So it's a big risk either way.
Well said. We're going to get Tredders' view on another big forward. Some cheeky comments from Mark Rasciuto in regards to Charlie Dixon. But first, I want to talk about the staging decisions over the weekend. Firstly, I just want to have a bit of a whinge here, Sam. Saturday night, I'm sitting down, I'm enjoying the Dreamtime game. Irving Mosquito kicks a snag, and then just a beautifully red ball coming in by McDonald Tipungwuti off the back, does a snag, has a little sort of Dreamtime celebration, and then the umpire calls it back for a stage, which they've since dismissed. Was the free kick wrong, firstly? And secondly, if you really want to stamp it out, why wouldn't you let the fine stand?
No. They weren't stagings. They were both illegal incidents. Clearly a push by Jake Stringer, and clearly 50 metres by Tom Bellchambers. Thought at the time, only got stronger since. Shouldn't have been fined for staging. Good on them for sticking up for themselves, and it's been thrown out. It's been a tough week for the AFL.
All I'll say, boys, is if you're a choreographer, you need to know what everyone's doing at the right time if you're going to have an act and if you're going to put it on a stage. So all I'd say to the AFL is work out what you're going to do. Bring the coaches in, bring the players in, and just go, we want to rub this out. But make no mistake, people have been playing for free kicks forever. They will continue to play for free kicks forever until we embarrass them publicly. Full stop.
Yeah, but just stop pushing people. Look, if Jake Stringer plays in front instead of behind, he wouldn't have had to push. And Tom Bellchambers doesn't need to leave his arm out there for a guy that's really more in the contest.
You've just opened up Pandora's box, because which forward likes to play in front nowadays? They all want the cheapie over the back. These presses create the lazy
didn't mean to open Pandora's box. Just close that back up.
Just shut it back now. I just had to say that.
Yes. Well, anyway, I thought it should have been a goal. And in fact, I ran into one of the greatest bombers to ever pull on a pair of boots during the week at the local park. And we had a socially distanced chat, but we did note if that goal stood, Essendon were up by 11 points, and it's a completely different evening for the Dreamtime game. But
yeah, that's a wonderful story.
Disappointing for you, Seb. Yeah, disappointing. Yeah. I hope you slept okay on Saturday night.
And also too, Sam, let's take that even further. It's wonderful to name drop that a wonderful bomber, but there was no name. Yeah. Who was it that you saw in the park conveniently?
So it wasn't an on-the-record conversation, Trent.
Lloydie?
I think you wore the number 5 at Essendon for many, many years and captained the great
team. You've name-dropped up the top.
That's funny, Trent.
He's feeling good.
Seb and I live around the corner from each other. And I've never run into
How about we just hook up a social distance chat in the park?
Must have been just very convenient that they just. I don't even think James lives in this area actually. So
no, it's within 5 km of his home. There's no doubt.
I see.
Anyway.
Controversial.
I didn't name any. No, it could have been Brett Stanton, I think. Anyway,
put Hurdy in it. I can't believe it.
It's within 5 km. Let's talk about Charlie Dixon, because he is a star. He's the best forward to put Adelaide since Treaders. We established that. But a director, very influential director at the Adelaide Football Club, has said on his program that Charlie Dixon could be on the move or could be entertaining a big offer from a Queensland-based club where he's from. Treaders, is there anything to this, or is it a bit of a stir from a Port rival?
I think it's both. I think it's when your team's 0 and 13, an unlucky number, that one. Then you look at, hey, smoke bomb over there. That's exactly what Mark Rasciuto did. But let's face it, these rumours go around all the time. I actually hear the fact that there could be some legs in other teams looking at him, because what would look in his contract situation, he had a 5-year deal, I think, to join Port. Probably had 2 real big years. He's had 17 a big year, and this year he's been very, very good for Port Adelaide. So in terms of value for money, you go, well, maybe it hasn't quite worked out. He had a severely broken, dislocated ankle, which ruled his season out, and it took probably the best part of 2 years to get back to his best. So if you look at that in isolation, you'd go, before this year, you'd go, we'd probably get 1-year deals, rolling 1-year deals to see how it goes. All of a sudden, he leads the Coleman medal race early. He's the best forward in the game to the halfway mark of the year and still going pretty well. Then all of a sudden, teams go, hey, what do you got? But I know for a fact Port's got a bucketload of money in their salary cap this year. So if you were Port's list manager Jason Cripps or Chris Davies, who's involved in footy, or even Ken Hinkley particularly, you'd go, hey, maybe we can bump his pay up this year, add him a couple more, and that may starve off anyone else, the vultures who are coming to get him. But if someone's going to offer 4 years unconditionally and about 650, 700 grand, well, he'd be crazy not to take it. But I'll tell you, Port Adelaide couldn't go that far, because for a bloke who's 30 and had history of injuries, I wouldn't be spending 4 years. You may do 2 plus an option if he plays enough. There's a lot of way to get this done. But what I can tell you is very close to Ken Hinkley. He shares the same manager as Ken Hinkley. He loves playing at Port Adelaide. So I just think money is not always the option. But hey, someone wants to offer me 4 years. I really like Brisbane.
Trent, surely you missed the point here, though. What's the footy director of the Adelaide Crows doing talking about the contract situation of a direct rival? I mean, as if Adelaide don't have enough problems.
No, well, there's 2 points to this. Absolutely. There's the actual football thing, and I think there's legs to the story. But Mark Rasciuto is never actually run by the rule book of not talking about other clubs. I'd love it if David Koch come out on Sunrise and ask the question about Brad Crouch and his pending free agency coming up. So Mark has consistently done this. I think it actually hurts his football club. I don't think he thinks it hurts his football club. And that's why we're in a situation where his football club continues to be up in lights and being discussed in issues when they're the worst team in the comp and they're really struggling.
Well said. Somebody pointed out to me the other day that the South Australian footy clubs were really practicing social distancing on the ladder, with one in first and one right down the bottom. Anyway, we'll move on to another topic, which is Alex Rance and whether he would ever make a comeback to football. Sam, I'll start with you. It was all a bit confusing for footy fans, I think, when the premier defender, the All-Australian captain, walked out of Punt Road. And I think a lot of people probably felt like Alex Rance had more footy in him. Do you think he wants to play football again?
Look, I'm not going to speak for Alex Rance. I think a lot of media people have reached out to him. He doesn't want to talk, which is absolutely his prerogative. He's probably enjoying the anonymity that his new life has provided him with. Oh, no, Treda's going to replay that.
I do that every night on the news.
The Mal Waldron phenomenon.
Yes.
I just think I have always thought that Alex Rance would play football at the highest level he can. Now, whether it's with Richmond or not, I don't know, because there's clearly been some issues in his own life. Now, whether going back to Richmond opens up old wounds for different aspects of his life, I'm not sure. But he's too good not to be playing, and I'm sure there would be an element of him that misses his football. But didn't I read, said in the Herald Sun this week, that he was signed to be the Bachelor?
Yes.
And then at the last minute said no. I just feel like that went under the radar, that story.
It's a little under the radar.
He'd be a good Bachelor. Imagine the ratings. The ratings would be big.
Dancing with the Stars, Survivor. Tredders, have you ever been approached for any reality TV?
Oh, good question.
Yes. What was it?
No, I won't tell you.
No.
Only my wife knows about this. That's it.
I don't care. You're going to tell us now.
All I would suggest is I wouldn't survive very long.
Hey.
Wow.
Look, first of all,
but I was going to go in as a little bit fat, so I would have survived a few weeks. Would have come out shredded. There was a phone call that was made, but I don't think it even got followed up on. But getting back to Rance, boys, what's he years of age? He's 29. He'd be 30 by the time he plays next year. His time's running out, so he needs to work out what he wants to do. And at the moment, all indications say he's happily retired. But yeah, you just wish he could come back and have a cameo and play very, very well. But we've also known that blokes who I think arguably was one of the greatest ever in Tony Lockett went away, came back and found it pretty tough. It's a pretty tough game to keep up with in terms of the speed once you step out.
Yep. Well said. All righty, let's move on to Seb's Speedy segment. And
has this happened again?
I thought we agreed to scrap this.
I know
this was off. This is not on my rundown. I took it off my rundown.
If anyone would like to sponsor it, you're very welcome to. So 30 seconds is on the clock, starting now. True or false, Sam, the AFL Grand Final should be held on a Sunday if it were to increase the TV audience. On a Sunday. Do you have
false. No, false? I think the Grand Final should be held on the Saturday on October 24 at the Gabba.
Tredders, true or false, the Dreamtime game should be permanently in Darwin?
True. Does Victorians think they own everything? And I thought it was wonderful on the weekend.
It was great, by the way.
It was brilliant.
I just thought that the crowd and the atmosphere and how good did the deck look? I mean, it helps when it hasn't got as many people on it. But I thought it was just amazing. And I think those two clubs do a great job of Dreamtime, by the way.
They do. Sammy, with West Coast, the Giants, the Hawks and the Demons to play, true or false, and Kilda will play finals?
True. Just lock them in. Lock them in, Eddie. They're done. They're in.
And Tredders, would you, in Steele side bottom's position, as the buzzer goes out, have gone home for the birth of a child with finals in the balance?
What number child are we talking about?
Yeah, well, I think this is number 1 for Steele, isn't it? Yeah. Number 1?
Yeah. I investigate every opportunity to fly up. Only joking.
Oh, no, you don't. No, you
love my children. Would have gone to the hub in the first place.
There you go. They should have brought them up. Good point. Social club time, where we highlight some good social media, and the Kangaroos have always been good at social media, And they dropped this today with the news that probably the greatest footballer, round ball footballer on the planet, Lionel Messi, has decided he wants out of Barcelona, and North Melbourne are pitching for his services, Sam.
Oh, have a look at this on Twitter. The fact that one of the things I love about North is that they embrace everything that's said about them. And a lot of other clubs wouldn't have liked the fact that they've been, as the zoo comes out for Tredders.
Here comes the dogs.
Obviously, North Melbourne supporters, your dogs. I love the fact that they embrace the fact that, people make fun of them, that they throw cash at a lot of people. Dustin Martin, Andrew Gaff, Dan Hanbury, Patrick Dangerfield, the list goes on of the players that they've missed out on. And they said, we'll have a go at Lionel. You will have a go at Messi. Here we go. But just for a 20-second aside, Seb, away from...
Oh, where's this going?
Well, what an unbelievable story that arguably the greatest player of all time, one of the greatest clubs of all time, under contract, they've just come off an 8-0 loss where they got smashed by Bayern Munich in the semi-final of the Champions League. He's leaving. That is going to create international headlines wherever he goes.
Yep. No, I'm looking forward to that. All right, sure things, boys. Let's bring up the leaderboard. And I have collapsed like Barcelona against Bayern Munich. We are now all tied at 8 apiece. What is going on? I think it's because I asked you blokes first. Tredders, have you got a sure thing for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going the Blues. I love the Blues. My nana loved the Blues. I'm going the Blues over the Pies. I reckon the Pies are falling apart.
Oh, look at Sammy McClure. Have you got one, Sam?
Who are Essendon playing?
Oh, that's unfair. Hawthorn, Adelaide Oval will win it too.
You probably beat them. They weren't good last week. No, they're actually
risky,
good.
Yeah. I'll go with Warren's gone with my mob. I'll go with Warren's mob. Port Adelaide.
Oh, yeah. Take it on Sydney. I reckon they'll win.
And I will take the Giants, which is in Perth, but they've got Fremantle. So I think the Giants can come back. Gentlemen, this was a lot of fun. Thank you to all the Talk of the Town viewers out there and the Port Adelaide Premiership champion, Warren Tredrea. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Apologies for the dogs. That's what happens when you get a delivery at the front door.
A bit of Uber Eats. Sammy McClure, the chief football reporter for the Nine Network. Thank you for that.
Tredders, I'll text you my address. Can you send me one of those jumpers? But probably not an XL that you're wearing. I'm more of a sort of slim medium.
Yep, I'll take that homeless number off you. Sorry, my dogs can't talk and I can't hear you.
See you next week.